Remember when the yoga pants first came out? We were like, "This is a great idea," and now it's insane. Now it's like
they have modified. They've
It's
evolved.
still a great idea.
Oh, it is.
It's still a great idea.
But they have yoga pants, and now they have the ones where they do the stitching inside the cracks. So kind of like
I
it
know.
emphasizes.
It's like a thong on the outside that's not really there, but it is.
It's like Superman.
You know it's not women designing these either.
Yeah.
Oh no.
You mean those chap ones?
Welcome back to Not a Strong Start, a podcast by filmmakers who talk movies, television, and discuss chaps. I'm your host, the Heckler.
Funny how? How am I funny?
Today we have Agostino Zoida. For those that haven't known, we've been friends with Ago for a while now. We've been excited to get him onto the podcast, but he's been super busy. And we've
excited to finally do it, man.
Exactly. We're excited to have you. But first, we're going to hit him with the current event.
All right. So for a recent event here, there's a rumor going around that supposedly Ryan Coogler, who's, behind the Black Panther, is going to be rebooting the XFiles franchise. I know how I feel about it, but what are your guys' thoughts on that?
Ago, you go first since you're
me first. I don't care. Like I think that I've probably seen like one X-Files episode. I don't know. I don't even know when it ended. Like I don't know.
Did you know that had the T-1000 in it by the time it ended?
I did not know that.
It was in
That's kind of cool.
Yeah,
it's one of those shows that you go back and if you watch it, you start catching so many people that went on to do other things.
Yeah.
Like Seinfeld.
Yeah, exactly. I liked X-Files. It was cool. It very much lived in the 90s. Ryan Coogler. I did not know Ryan Coogler was into the X-Files like this. I haven't really seen a lot of sci-fi stuff that he's done. So do we need one? I mean, it's not the same cast, right? I think he's doing like a diversity cast, I think.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a reboot. Who knows? Maybe Mulder and Scully will make an appearance, but I think he's going for a fresh cast.
Is Black Panther technically sci-fi? I mean, there is some sci-fi shit in there.
Yeah, I guess so. Technically that will fit under that.
He might do like a cool modern spin with it. I mean, maybe I'll even get into it. I don't know. Yeah, I'm down with it. Sure, go ahead.
Ago will finally watch more than one episode. Maybe.
Maybe. Yeah. Is Michael B. Jordan going to be in it?
Oh my God.
He's the lead. The thing with it is he probably will do a good job with it. It's not so much that bringing the X-Files back. It's just I feel every week we're getting something old announced as a reboot again. I feel like every week we're getting like, no, this is coming back. No, this is coming back. And it's like, well, might as well just watch all the old shows that we watch because that's all we're going to get, just newer versions of that.
Like we're their target audience. Like people, like young kids, I feel like they just watch stuff on their phones. They're not like into movies like we are. We grew up on it. So like, they're like, let's do shit to get them excited.
Yeah. And it makes you wonder with this one, because if you don't have the original two characters, David Duchovny, cannot remember the actress's name right now. Do you remember, Jose?
Scully.
There you go. The character name. That's her name. If you don't have them in it, it's just a sci-fi show. So you could Ryan Coogler can literally do his own sci-fi show. And it doesn't really matter. It doesn't have to be associated with X-Files, right? Because X-Files was just about aliens. It was those two characters that made the X-Files.
Yeah, and there are certain shows, and I'm sure you guys have seen certain shows where it's like, at the end, if you really think about it, if you take away the main characters and just put in someone else, is the show as good? Or was it the chemistry of the characters and those people who actually made you come back and keep watching more than the actual substance of the show?
Yeah, I think it's definitely the chemistry of the characters, because as soon as the T-1000 came on board, that's when it died off, right? I think they did like 1, maybe 2 seasons of it. So didn't really quite have the chemistry, but
he should have stayed in the future.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know if it would have been better, but we'll see. So, okay, so this week's episode, we're talking about comedians. Specifically, comedians turned actors. So the reason why we have Ago on, so we want to get into Ago's experience. Ago is a stand-up comedian. He's been doing this. You've been doing this for a while now, right?
14 years.
14 years. Jesus. Definitely the
man.
longest job you've ever had. So yeah, if you want to go ahead and introduce our audience to a little bit about what you've done, a little bit about your background, because a lot of people get interested in the whole stand-up world. It's like it's an entirely different thing. And we've had the privilege of going up there, seeing you perform. We've seen a little bit of backstage going there with you, but I want to know a little, like I want to, for the people that haven't done this or don't live in Los Angeles, right? They live in middle America. Tell us a little bit about it.
It's so crazy, man. I was just thinking about this morning, how I was only 20 years old when I started. And that was also when I met Kevin, was at like an open mic. I've known Kevin since I was 20 and he was 25. Now I'm 35. It's crazy. Yeah. I'm about to be 35. It's insane, dude. So a little bit about me. I started when I was 20, and when I started working at a comedy club, and I met a lot of great comedians. I got to open for a lot of legendary comedians. I remember the Wayans brothers were always coming by at the club. I used to see them work out a lot. And then some of the bigger names started to take me on the road. Like one of them was like Joey Diaz is probably a big name that people would know. I worked on the road with him the most. You just get an education from it. I'm one of the more fortunate people to have been able to be shown the road by like these guys that know what they're doing, on the road. I mean, it can be fun. It can be really tiring. It could be very challenging. It's, a lot of no's and very few yeses that you hear. It just takes very thick skin to take those no's and keep coming back. And
I can only imagine how like it's horrifying. Like that has to be for like the average person. It's got to be one of the most intimidating, scariest things to go up there and be funny, right? Because you can sit there and make jokes and try to be funny with your friends, but it's completely different doing it in front of complete strangers.
Yeah, because there's like really no reason for me to naturally talk to you.
Yeah,
like to be on stage. It's one thing if it's a play, but like for me to just walk out there and just start. And like that's how you tell a good comedian. Like you didn't notice they started. Like you didn't really notice when you know what I mean. You were just in it. You were just in a stand-up comedy show, and so yeah, it feels really unnatural. I know that a lot of people's biggest fears, they say public speaking. Yeah. For me, that's not really the challenging part of it. Maybe at first I was a very shy, quiet kid, and that like getting up there was challenging. But now that I've been doing it so long, that's not what it is. It's just more. It's more your peers and the rejection of industry that is the biggest challenge.
Yeah. When you mentioned that you started that Joey took you on tour, like were you kind of scared, like a little bit, like sort of headlining or not headlining, right? You were the
you
first,
opened, yeah,
you opened for him.
Was that intimidating? MCing. That's where you start. You start out as an MC, and then you graduate to feature, which is or otherwise known as the middle act. So a show will go MC, feature, headliner. Okay. At least that's how like the road shows work. But when you go to Los Angeles and you go to the Comedy Store, it's like 20 comics doing 15 minutes. Like, and so it's just way different. But road shows, you go see a headliner, and there's usually like 2 opening acts. So, yeah, man, I was, in the beginning, I was nervous. I mean, he could be an intimidating dude, but he's also like one of the sweetest guys ever, which I learned very quickly. I don't know if anybody knows him that well, but he's like, his fans are really, really into like edibles. Nice. And I've never had like so many drugs given to me after shows than like opening for him. One time I remember, he tells this story all the time, but I remember it. This is like my point of view is, it was one of the first times I was opening for him. I think it might've been in like Ontario Improv or Brea Improv or something. And we were in the green room, and there was this banana bread on the coffee table of the green room. And he's like, you want a piece? I'm not really a big edible guy, let alone weed guy. Yeah. And he's like, you want a piece? And it was Christmas time. I just figured like, oh, someone brought banana bread. It's Christmas. I remember there was even a Christmas tree on the stage, and I was like, cool, banana bread. And I ate like a whole piece. And dude, it fucked me up so bad. And everybody in the green room did. At the time, I was emceeing. So I just started opening for him. Yeah. And so the feature also ate some. So by the time it hit me, I was already done. Like I'm off stage, done. But but it hit the feature while he was on stage, man. It was such a trip. He was like not even making sense and like just stumbling and
He
like
wasn't here, and here he was making perfect
yeah.
sense.
He was like half asleep. I'm not trying to be racist, but he was Asian and he already looked sleepy. His eyes were like fully closed. And Joey has had like half the loaf of banana bread, and by the time he gets on stage, he's just like going hard, fully functional. Man. A lot of fun, good times.
I'm picturing like at a restaurant, you know, after you like you finish your meal and all that stuff, they give you like the mint at the end, or like a Chinese food place, they give you the cookie. Yeah. It's like, well, here, you finish the show. Here's your edible, like for the road.
I know. And then he would take more after the show. And then like people, when they're leaving, they're like still giving you stuff.
So you've been doing this since your early 20s now. You said 14 years. So how do you feel like your comedy has changed from when you started till now?
Drastically changed. I mean, you first of all, you should always be evolving. Like, I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're Kevin Hart. Like, you should be funnier than you were the year before, and always learning. But specifically, I've noticed the transition of me becoming a headliner. So which a lot of people would say, oh, so when you started going last, or so when you started doing an hour on the shows, it's like that to me didn't mean I was a headliner. You got booked as a headliner and you got paid as a headliner, but I wasn't a headliner. I was just going last and I was doing 60 minutes. Sure, you have 60 minutes of material, but there's a difference of like being a headliner. And you can watch a guy who just has 60 minutes and you can watch a guy who's a headliner and you can see the difference. Like one guy is giving you a whole show, like his whole personality, his whole persona is like just a headliner. Even if there's moments where he's telling you a story and there's no punchlines, the whole crowd is just like interested in what you're saying. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just giving them a show. And I remember like when I felt that I crossed that line and people started to tell me that I did. And I think it was also kind of like during 2021, 2022, when I was really headlining a lot during, I think like the pandemic kind of started it when like a lot of comedians were refusing to travel and I said I would go do it. So I got like a lot more headlining spots. And that's when I just like became a comic that headlines.
Flip the switch.
Flip the switch, man.
Yeah. Nice. Now, I know you've done with like some short films and stuff. You've dabbled a little bit on the acting front. How was that transition to you? How did you feel compared to being on stage and performing to acting and going behind the camera and remembering those lines and all of that?
It feels very uncomfortable to me. Like I'm used to being on a stage and I say something and I get a reaction right there on the spot. And I'm supposed to be there in front of a group of people. I feel very uncomfortable being like out in public and there's people that are just like over there listening to us and there's no audience and I don't really have the audience feedback to give me timing and to, you know, or to even know if they're liking it. So I just feel really uncomfortable. Like, I don't know. I love acting. I admire great actors so much. And it's something I'd really like to get better at, but I got to get over that fear. I just don't like talking in public, you know, and that's weird, right? Like I do stand up, but I don't like talking in public when it's not natural. Like if somebody paid to see me do it, sure. But like, I'm just there like doing a scene. It just feels weird to me.
No, it's actually not that weird. Cause even just, even with actors and stuff that I've talked to is like, you know, the camera switches on, or if they're doing theater and they're on stage, they can turn it on. But then just like talking in public just randomly or things like that, it's a completely different animal for some reason. Because again, we talked about you flicking the switch to headliner earlier. Like when it comes to acting, you have to like flip the switch where you shut everything out. And that doesn't come like immediately because you are aware of your surroundings and everything. But we have seen incidents, and we're going to get into it into this episode, of actors that have been or comedians that have been able to make that transition into acting. And there's been some duds, but there has been enough to have been successful and have done actually very well for themselves. And that's what we're going to get into in this episode. I don't know if you want to start us off on this, Ago, and who's an actor, a comedian, that transitioned successfully into acting and had a good career?
I got a list.
Okay.
I got a list. I got a list of guys that did it successfully and unsuccessfully. I also want to break down what the meaning of successfully might mean to you guys, because I think that if someone was a stand-up and then they became an actor and had a successful acting career, I guess that's successfully. But did their stand-up suffer? So if their stand-up is suffered, I wouldn't call it successfully. Like, did you want to become an actor and not do stand-up anymore? Then yeah, you successfully achieved that. But to me, it's the guys that were able to balance both. I think that like the number one example that people are going to think of right now is Kevin Hart, who started from stand-up and is probably the biggest movie star that came from stand-up roots right now. And personally, I mean, you could say acting career is successful, but personally, I don't think it was successful because I think his stand-up hurts. I was a big fan of his when he was just a stand-up. Like, if you listen to his first album ever, it's so good, dude. It's so like, it's like Bill Burr writing. It's like, you know what I mean? Like Chappelle writing. It's like so funny and smart. And then when you listen to his stand-up now, it's first of all, you could tell he has a lot of writers, and it's a lot of talking about his fame. You know, and his stories are now he hired a gardener to do his mansion or something, you know, or to build an extra house on his property. It's like, it's not relatable. His first album, he was talking about like his dad was like, you know, and his mom was poor, and his dad would like, you know, hit him and stuff like that. Like, that was more relatable. You know, it was really funny to hear about. So to me, I think he has a successful acting career, but I think his stand-up hurts. However, he still does stand up, which I have to respect, that he didn't turn his back on his roots.
It's interesting getting your perspective, because I didn't think of it that way, and that's shows a difference. You coming from the comedian background, looking at this, and then me coming from the acting background. The way I looked at it is I didn't even think of that aspect. I thought of Kevin Hart, and I kind of struggled with it because I was like, it's successful. His acting career is successful financially. He's bringing in money. He's making a lot of movies. But then it's not successful quality-wise,
right,
for me. And that's where I struggle of putting him on the successful list. So I'm like, yes, they succeeded, but if you're viewing it just purely on acting and quality, did he succeed?
And the quality of acting.
So it's interesting seeing the contrast with the way we looked at it. What about you, Dan?
Yeah, like we talked about on a previous episode where he released like 2 movies on Netflix, and they're pretty interchangeable. Like, they're pretty interchangeable. Like, I couldn't tell. Like, I played one for about 10 minutes. I was like, I'm out. I put on the other one. It was almost the exact same storyline. I was like, I mean,
people know that he's so the it guy right now when it comes to comedy on film, that they know that they'll watch anything he's in. And I think the majority would disagree with my statement because they probably like his stand-up. But you got to remember, now he's got this way wider audience that he has to entertain that doesn't know stand-up. They just they probably think his stand-up is great right now. And maybe to you it is. But it's, if you're a comics comic, like a Bill Burr, they call him a comics comic. It means comedians love him because we know structure, we know writing, and we know that what your roots are. So he's got this wide audience that he's catering to now. So you got to give him that too.
I've noticed on his latest like stand-up, it's more of like his delivery and how he's sort of acting with his jokes more than the actual jokes themselves. Like what you're talking about with the writing. Like, I've noticed the same too. And like what Jose was saying, it's, you know, I'll ask you a lot on what your opinion is about some of these comedians, because it's always interesting, especially from your guys' world. It's such a tight-knit world that you guys have, and it's like, it really is where comedians have respect for fellow comedians, right, for the most part. So it's like a inner club that you guys sort of have. So that's why we're always fascinated to see which comedians kind of stepped into become legitimate actors, and did they lose some of that credibility. So a big one for me that excelled in acting, that started up in stand-up comedy, was Robin Williams. Right. Robin Williams was phenomenal. The dude won an Oscar. Like he
Yeah.
became a legitimate actor. I don't think he was doing stand up after that, right? I remember he used to do the specials with Whoopi Goldberg and Billy Crystal.
Mhm.
Remember how they had like
Yeah.
their little
I think it
thing?
was like for the charity, I forget the name of
Yeah,
it, but yeah.
yeah. But like as far as I know, that was the last time he was doing stand up. I don't think he was still doing stand up anymore.
So he was maybe not towards the end of his life, but he was still doing stand up throughout his career, but he wasn't doing specials really, and nor were specials as popular at the time.
Yeah.
Every now and then we would get an HBO thing. But he was still doing stand-up. He would pop into the Comedy Store all the time. He's actually on my list, like towards the top of the list of guys that transitioned successfully to acting and didn't turn their back on stand-up, nor did their stand-up hurt. If you watch, like, you can go on YouTube and pull up some stuff like later in life. Like, he literally has a bit about Joe Biden. That's how long he was doing stand-up.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah.
Jeez,
Before Joe Biden was even vice president. And you can go watch it. It's actually good, dude. And he never turned his back on stand-up. I mean, he did Jumanji. You know, he did like very family movies. And when you go watch his stand-up, he kept true. He was still controversial.
Yeah. Oh,
So,
it does. I have a question for you then, because it seems like with comedic actors, it's much easier for them to transition to do dramatic roles than it is for dramatic actors to do comedy. Why do you think that is?
There is a famous line that Jerry Lewis said. I don't know if it's famous. I heard it in an interview once, and I always remember it. Jerry Lewis said that if an actor wants to be if a comedian wants to become an actor, they're going to do it. If an actor wants to become a comedian, they have their work cut out for them, because for several reasons. It's when you're doing stand-up, you're being you. You're not hiding behind a mask. Acting for a stand-up is vacation, because they get to hide who they really are. When we're on stage, we have to be vulnerable, unless you're like a cheesy, easy comic, whatever. But most of the time, comedians are vulnerable. They're telling you their deepest, darkest secrets about themselves, about their lives, and they're putting it out there. But when you're an actor, you get a break from that. You get to like pretend to be someone else, so the people aren't judging you. So I think that has a big part of it. But the reason that it doesn't work the other way, like why can't actors become? I mean, they do. Yeah. I mean, Jamie Kennedy does stand up. He's pretty decent. I know that Jeremy Piven does stand up. He's not very good. I'll say it. I know Rob Gronkowski, who's not an actor, does stand up.
Oh my God.
Even Tom Brady's been talking about doing stand up. It's crazy.
Oh,
but
no.
They did a Tom Brady. I think they did an AI stand-up for Tom Brady.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I can see that.
Hilarious.
Yeah. No, but with going back to like Robin Williams, he ended up being a skilled actor. Like he put on some great performances.
Good Will Hunting.
Yes.
Good Will
Hunting. I think that's my favorite performance from him.
Yeah, or even when
acting, my favorite is probably the genie. I love Genie.
The Genie was pretty good.
Yeah, but that's voice acting. This one's like real acting. Yeah, I agree. Good Will Hunting.
I think one of the ones he surprised me the most because he was so creepy was that Insomnia.
Oh, man,
1 hour and 1 hour.
1 hour photo.
1 hour photo.
Insomnia and 1 hour photo are both good.
Someone else that I think nailed it on the acting front, to the point that when people bring up his name, they call him an actor. The general audience, many people don't even know that he used to do stand-up. Michael Keaton.
Yes, he's on my list.
Michael Keaton, and he's had an amazing acting career with so many like different roles. He's played the superhero, he's played the villain, he's played serious roles, he's done comedy roles. Even something like The Other Guys, where his role was really small and he kind of stole every scene that he was in. With Birdman, that was probably his best performance. So this is someone to the point that unless you like really look into it, or I'm sure comedians know, the general audience probably doesn't know that he came from a stand-up background.
Yeah, he started as a stand-up. His headshot is still on the wall at the Comedy Store. It's crazy. Like that's where he started in LA, and never looked back. Like got the acting bug and then actually had success with it, never looked back. Steve Martin's another one who like came from stand up. He's a little more slapsticky, but like he came from stand up. He did like impressions and stuff. He had a special, like an HBO special, and then never did stand up again for like I don't know how, like maybe 40 years or 30 years or something like that. And then only recently has he been doing stand up again with like Martin Short. You can go see them like dual headline.
Yeah, and then Beetlejuice, like you could see the moments of where that comedy comes out of place because he's so quick. He's so quick-witted with it, you know?
He's a good psycho too, like a creepy guy.
Man.
The Founder is good. Have you guys seen The Founder?
Oh,
yeah,
love The Founder.
The McDonald's.
Love The Founder.
Yeah, that's a
and
good
then
one.
Have you seen The Dream Team? It's a comedy.
Yes, I saw it way back in the day. That was
like
a 90s movie, right?
Early 90s or late 80s, maybe. It's so funny. Jose, you got to watch it. It's like for escape mental patients.
Yeah,
but that's good. That shows like his range. Like,
yes,
you know, even coming from that, his acting, he's gone all over the place. He hasn't pigeonholed himself into one thing, and he's just kind of spread out to the point that, you know, he's not in a box. They'll cast him for any type of role.
Yeah. Another person that a lot of people don't realize started from stand up is Thomas F. Wilson, who is Biff from Back to the Future. And he started from stand up, and I mean his headshot too when he was like 19 years old. I've seen on the Comedy Store wall, and but he still does stand up. So he had like that one movie. He had some other stuff. I think he directed and produced a little bit, but he has that one movie that just made his career. That's the only thing he's known for. Yeah, and people don't realize he did stand up the whole time and still does. I've actually been on the same shows with him like a bunch. He's a really cool guy.
Nice, man. Here's one that I loved was Whoopi Goldberg. She was phenomenal in the movie The Color Purple, the Steven Spielberg joint. Like her acting was phenomenal in that. And she's one of those ones that uses an example of a comedian that's able to tap into the drama, sort of like a Tom Hanks, sort of like a Jim Carrey, where it's so seamless, like a Steve Carell, where they tap into some I don't know what part of their own personal being, but it's so easy for them to bring out that dramatic acting. Just phenomenal, man. Dramatic stuff. Yeah.
The other thing that Jerry Lewis said is that comedians have to be very serious people, which is why they take well to dramatic roles, because deep down they are very serious people and dark people. And he says that they have to be, because it takes a serious person for someone to go on stage and be willing to make a fool of yourself, you know, and be willing to show the worst side of you on purpose. It takes a very dark individual.
Yeah. Okay. Let me ask you this, guys. What's one of the ones that didn't transition well? What are some of the stand-up comics that did not have the best acting performances?
All right, I have one that might be an unpopular opinion, but I'm going to say Chris Rock.
You think that he did not have a good acting career?
I wouldn't consider him successful. One, I mean, comedy-wise, yes, of course. Yeah. But when it came to the acting, I don't think financially he was acting-wise. Yes, he's done a lot of projects, but has he ever led a big movie? No, he's usually been in, for the most part, movies that are led by other people. He's been in a few like Eddie Murphy movies, things like that, where other people are drawing the attention. And then when it comes to the quality of his acting, I mean, guy's got no range at all with his acting. He
was so popular in stand-up that they did try to throw him in movies. I remember in the 90s, he was the lead in some comedy movies that I personally didn't really like that much. But I mean, I do like him as a stand-up. But that's the thing, though. I have him in my category of guys that their stand-up stayed good because they didn't throw themselves into acting and never do stand-up anymore.
It probably stayed good because his acting never got good. So it just because I sort of got out. One of the things with Chris Rock, and this is one of the main ones that I noticed, that when he would do his movies, he would be acting, but his acting would look like he was doing a stand-up set. Like even something like I watched Spiral, which is like the Saw like reboot or continuation, whatever they want to call it.
Oh, that's right. That is Chris Rock. Oh,
yeah. He supposed to play a serious detective. And like the first 10 minutes of the movie, he's doing a stand-up act in like the police station when he's talking about like the criminals.
I noticed that too.
So I would consider him under the not successful again because
Yeah.
he never led a big movie and his quality
Lethal
was
Weapon
never
4.
there.
He straight up does stand up in Lethal Weapon 4 with Joe Pesci, like when he's talking about the cell phones.
Here's one that I have. I mean, I have a bunch on this list. Unfortunately,
I got a bunch, man.
One of them I'm gonna go with is Dane Cook. Dane Cook is just a awful actor.
He was on mine.
He was bad. The only movie that actually like he was okay in, I can't even remember what the name.
Don't say Mr. Brooks. Don't say Mr. Brooks.
Is I think it is Mr. Brooks.
The serious one
with Kevin Costner.
Yes, it's not a bad movie. It's not a bad movie.
The movie isn't bad, but I still remember at the end when he's getting killed off, and all of a sudden he like devolves into like a 6-year-old screaming when they're gonna kill him. Like, I'm like,
I saw that movie so long ago.
Yes, the movie. Was
he's
good,
not like
that's it.
The best actor, but I just take it for what it is. He's Dane Cook, and he did a lot of silly movies. He has a couple of good comedies, but I'm not going into it for the acting. You know, he did try to do serious stuff, and it just wasn't for him.
Yeah,
I got one for you. Here's one. Chris Tucker. I think this is a good one. So, Chris Tucker started from stand-up, obviously a very successful acting career.
Yeah.
But people don't realize that and this is just stuff I've heard from being in the comedy green rooms, behind the scenes stuff that you hear, is people don't realize is that he only had like 5 or 10 minutes of stand-up, but it was so good. It was so like he had it down tight. It was like he did like Michael Jackson impressions and stuff like that. I think you can go see it because he did like Comedy Underground or something like that, or Def Comedy Jam or something like that's kind of where he blew up. Yeah. And so you could go watch that, and that was it. He didn't have an hour. He wasn't like touring doing 30 minutes on stage. He just had that, and got. I think Friday was like the first big movie that he had.
Yeah. He did that one. He did the one with
it was Rush Hour.
Yeah, he did Rush Hour, but he had one before that. What was it? I can't remember it right now.
I think Rush Hour is the most successful.
Charlie
and
Sheen.
then there's Money Talks.
Charlie Sheen. Money Talks. That's the one. That's
Fifth Element.
I actually like him in some serious roles, and he's about to be in Air that's about to come out next weekend.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I like
Didn't
Tucker.
he had a special like a year or two ago
on Netflix, and it's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just funny how you're saying he only had like 10 minutes and like just rolling those 10 minutes. I'm just like picturing a guy like going over to his wife. He was like, I only have a minute, but it's going to be the best minute you ever had.
I got it down.
He got him married and gave him kids.
But he eventually went back to stand up, and he was another one that I would see all the time come in the clubs. Nice, and I'm sorry, are we supposed to be doing like unsuccessful ones? Because I just threw that out there.
Oh, was he? He's unsuccessful.
No, I thought he was successful.
Oh, Chris Tucker. Oh, yeah. I thought this was unsuccessful. That's why I was like, where was he unsuccessful at?
Okay, let me give you a non-successful one. I don't know. Do we want to say Dave Chappelle, who tried acting a couple times?
You can say that because he didn't make the transition to acting. I mean, he did it, but it wasn't.
He did it. Con Air.
Yeah.
Con Air is his best role.
That's his best role, man. That's his best acting. Wow. I loved Half Baked when I was like in college, right? Or like high school. I thought it was amazing. I've gone back to it like maybe 10 years ago, and I was like, man, this thing doesn't hold up at all. And you try to rewatch it, and it's just like, it's not that funny.
Did you try to have some banana bread beforehand?
I should have. That was the only time I should have watched it, when I was young and naive, or I ate some banana bread.
Wasn't he in something like, didn't he have like a little cameo in like a recent Oscar nominated movie with Lady Gaga? Wasn't he in a movie with Lady Gaga? Is it A Star Is Born?
Yes.
Was he in that?
Yes. I think
Chappelle's in that.
He was he was the guy's friend.
Right.
Yes.
But you got to remember, he disappeared from acting and stand up for like 10 years.
That reminds me, Chris Tucker was also in Silver Lining Playbook, right? He was the friend. Hey, there they go.
I like Chris Tucker in serious shit.
Man. You know who I like, dude? Marlon Wayans. I like Marlon Wayans, man.
Yeah.
So I have the Wayans on here. on a
Yeah.
whole category of success because I mean,
Yes.
like I said, I've watched these guys work firsthand, like come in, like while they were working on shows and movies, they would at night after set come on and pop in and work on stand up.
How cool are they? Like, are they cool? Like real life person behind?
Yes, they're very, very, very nice people. Some are more quiet than others and to themselves and don't really want to talk. Like Damon Wayans Sr., like
Yeah.
very nice, but was very like in the corner, don't talk to me. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I feel like he's like a germaphobe, you know what I mean? Like he didn't want to be like touched ever. He'd like fist bump you. Marlon was always cool, still is. And dude, Damon Wayans Jr. I think deserves a
I like
lot
him.
of credit because he's had a great career in television, movies. He's very, very funny, and the entire time has done stand up. So here's another thing I used to do when I was doing open mics when I first started. Damon Wayans Jr. would be at the open mics, like he was just starting stand up also, and he would go up as under a fake name because he didn't want special treatment because he was a Wayans.
Yeah.
No, it's like Creed.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's exactly like Creed. That's where
Yeah.
they took the idea from, Jose.
I'm gonna make it on my own merit.
But
Yeah.
I've always had respect for him. But okay, so I have a long list of people that are on my non-successful side, but they
Cool.
actually have
Go
very
for it.
successful movie careers. I'm just saying that their stand-up hurt.
Okay.
Like
Throw
they don't
some
do
at
stand.
us. I'm curious.
So Jim Carrey never did stand-up again, turned his
Yeah.
back on it. Eddie Murphy never did stand-up again.
Yeah.
Although it's a rumor that he's supposed to have a Netflix special, which I think they signed before the pandemic, and we never got it.
Yeah. I heard about that.
Jamie Foxx, people don't realize he came from stand-up.
Mm-hmm.
Seth Rogen, Woody Allen, who doesn't do stand-up anymore, but that's his
I
roots.
know that.
You didn't know that,
Yeah.
dude?
No.
One of my favorite bits ever is Woody Allen. You should Google Woody Allen. I shot a moose. That's what it's called. It's him doing stand-up, and it's a story. It's a ridiculously, like, obviously fake story, but it's just so funny. Billy Crystal, Larry David.
Yep.
Who obviously found writing and and acting, directing. Patton Oswalt, he always did stand up. He never turned his back on it, but I personally never really thought he was that funny, and I still don't. Zach Galifianakis has a really funny special that you guys should check out.
Yeah, I saw that
the one
one
in San Francisco.
Yeah,
it's called Live at the Purple
I think
Onion.
I saw that one. Yeah,
that was funny.
Very unique and different. What else do I got? Bill Burr, I want Bill Burr's career. Like, I think he doesn't want the giant movie star.
No.
I think that he likes those roles that he gets because it's like enough money. And
he's had some good, decent.
He did
like,
Star
side
Wars.
roles.
Yeah,
he's in Star Wars episode
right.
and got,
he's in
he
Breaking
got
Bad.
Disney money. Yeah. Good for him. Man.
And I think he's actually a really good actor. He just
Yeah.
keeps his distance, and he likes to do stand up only, which he's obviously very good at. So I want to tell you, like, someone who I think is very successful at both stand up and acting, and that is Tim Allen.
Yes.
Yep.
If I was gonna be a movie star, bro, I want Tim Allen's career.
Minus the arrest that happened before his career really took off.
Yeah, I don't want to be arrested.
Minus the controversy. Yeah.
But I also like that about him, though. I like that he's got
too.
that rough around the edges history, and most stand-up comedians do. Most good stand-up comedians do. So
yeah,
obviously came from stand-up roots. He had a very successful sitcom, which most successful sitcoms come from stand-ups.
He had two successful sitcoms.
That's right.
Yeah.
Voiceovers with Disney and some really good movies. I mean, maybe you guys don't think they're good, but I like it. I've always wanted to do like a Christmas movie, and I love that he has like a bunch of awesome Christmas movies.
Yeah. No, those are good.
Yeah,
Santa Claus
Santa Claus.
and Christmas the Cranks. I think he's like so funny in.
Where he gets the Botox and he can't move his face.
Yeah.
I like Galaxy Quest, man. I love Galaxy Quest.
That's a good one you brought up because I didn't even think Tim Allen.
Toy Story.
Yeah,
dude, Toy Story, man. He has the whole he's making Toy Story money. That man is
dude.
So wealthy.
He's making Pixar money.
He's making Pixar money. Yeah.
I would go to he's a Laugh Factory guy. I would go to the Laugh Factory, and he's always there trying to get on stage, working on material, and crushing, dude.
Yeah.
He's still so funny. It's awesome.
Nice.
It's crazy because I feel nowadays, especially for the general audience, unless you live in like LA or I would guess New York or like some of those hubs for comedy, many people that might transition to actors, the general audience won't even know that they came from stand-up
Mhm.
unless there's a special floating.
Yeah.
Because
Right,
you
Right.
mentioned some of these people that are still doing comedy, and some of them I had no idea they were still doing comedy because there hasn't been a
Yeah.
special or anything
Yeah.
like that. So
right.
it is interesting.
I mean, there's a
Yeah.
lot of guys that maybe you guys wouldn't know. Like, I don't know if you know Jimmy O Yang. Like, I started with stand up with that guy too. I've been on a bunch of shows with him. He's really nice guy, very, very funny. And then he got all these movies. He's in Crazy Rich Asians, and he's in the
Nice.
Patriot with Mark Wahlberg. He's like
Yeah.
the Asian guy that the Boston Bombers kidnapped
Nice.
in the Patriot.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Nice.
he's in Silicon Valley. Like he has this great career, and now he has 2 stand-up specials. My old roommate is like super, super funny. Dustin Ibarra. He's in a bunch of movies and TV shows. It's like there's a bunch of unknowns that I think people really should take the time
Yeah.
and get to know, and definitely go to your local comedy club all the time, and always be like, just because they're not famous doesn't mean that they're not good, because
Yeah.
honestly, the most famous actors are not the best stand-ups. It's the
Yeah.
guys like Bill Burr that dabble in it, and their
Yeah.
stand-up is fire. Another
Yeah.
one, Andrew Dice Clay, dabbles in
Yeah.
acting.
Oh yeah.
Stand-up is fire. Still doing stand-up.
Nice.
Chris Farley was amazing.
Yeah.
You know,
Love me some Chris Farley.
all right, so here's the last one I'm going to throw at you. I'm going to throw some fire
Okay.
at you right now. Rodney Dangerfield, bro.
Yes, I
Oh
love me.
yes.
Rodney Dangerfield is one of my top 3 favorite stand-up comics of all time.
So good.
Love him. I love his movies, but like his stand-up comedy is gold.
He's my number 1 favorite one-liner comedian.
Yes. Yes.
He's so good. And the entire time he was doing that stand-up, he was doing movies
Yeah.
and being that guy.
He's the same guy. His acting range,
Yeah.
not very deep, but man, he was good.
That's
He
what you
knew how to
wanted.
draw attention.
John Candy, did he ever do stand-up or no?
I don't
Or
know.
is he just a hilarious guy that like
I
did
feel
acting?
like he's an improv guy.
He felt very improv. Maybe he did like improv. Yeah, maybe he must have done some kind of improv and never actually did. I don't know.
If you Google the list of stand-ups that turned acting, they give you a bunch that never did stand-up. Like Steve Carell's on there.
Yeah.
Maybe he did stand-up, but they were more like the SNL cast guys. Those are all like those, those are like improv.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really quick, Adam
yeah.
Sandler.
Yes. Who started showing range, man. Uncut Gems. I'm like, okay, he can
Yes.
act. I'm
Yeah.
tired of seeing those made for Netflix movies that he was doing.
I know.
Oh man.
I know.
Yeah. Ago, what advice would you give for up and coming stand-up comic, for people that want to try it out, a little nervous, maybe haven't gone on stage yet? What advice would you give?
I try not to say it without being too depressing, but you got to have good things in your life. You have to have like 110% work ethic of trying to get on stage and always writing new and always trying to be better at it. But you also have to have 110% another completely full-time job of having good people, good friends, doing fun things outside of stand-up, a good relationship, because it's a dark, depressing world, and a lot of comedians do commit suicide. And it's like, if you got a good support system, it's really great. It's really great. And then obviously, some other tips. Just get on stage as much as you possibly can. And for those who are thinking of starting stand-up who haven't yet, my advice to you is stop waiting. And I know that everybody says, when are you going to start? And your answer is, well, I'm just waiting till I get my 5 minutes ready. I'm writing the material and then I'll go out. Wrong. You are never going to repeat the thing you said the first time on stage ever again. So it does not need to be perfect. You do not need to waste a lot of time on it. It's just so you can get it over with and start getting like comfortable on stage, so you can talk about anything.
Yeah.
Just get up there right away and do it.
Yes, I appreciate that. Do you want to go ahead and plug some stuff you're working on, especially your show?
Yeah, Homeschool Podcast. I have another. We have the Movie Stash, which is another movie podcast. And then the short clips of it are on Instagram, just like funny reviews on movies. But yeah, I have a stand-up special. It's called Gentleman Savage. Should be out. It's almost done, man. I'm excited.
Nice.
Like hopefully by the end of the year it'll be out, and then maybe even by summer.
Nice.
So here's what I got for you, though. I am in San Diego at April 21st through the 23rd at the La Jolla Comedy Store.
Nice.
I'm actually opening for Jimmy Schubert, who is another beast comic who is also an actor. He's in Italian Job,
Nice.
bunch of TV shows and stuff. And then after that, I have a very busy May. I'm in Paso Robles, where I film my special. I'm back there.
Nice.
That's May 20th. And then Memorial Weekend, I am in Memphis, Tennessee on Saturday. And then the next day, Sunday, I am in Shelby, Michigan. And you can get tickets for all my upcoming shows at AugostinoComedian.com.
Yeah, and keep watching out for his content, man. We've worked with you on some acting projects that you've done. You've done a good job, man. I still hopefully Swayze comes out. I don't know if he's still doing that or not.
Yeah, man.
I'm not
We
sure
gotta
if
film
it
some
should
new
sell.
stuff.
Yeah, man. It'll be
gotta
some good stuff. But
I feel the most silly. Like I told you guys, I feel uncomfortable acting. I feel the most silly doing comedy. Like
Really?
and that's what everybody wants me to do. Like Kevin always
Yeah.
writes stuff comedy for me to do, and I want to do serious stuff. Like I think I would feel way more comfortable
Yeah.
doing.
I wonder
So,
if that's because you're so used to just delivering it the one time on stage, and when you're having to repeat it, it just feels unfunny to you, right? Because it doesn't feel funny anymore, and you're just doing it over and over, like doing the different takes, and it's just like so ridiculous.
Well, I definitely tell the same joke over and over on stage, but
That's
it's
true.
not, it's like night after night, not all at once.
Yeah, it's the first time they're hearing it, right? So the audience
Yes.
is the first time they're hearing it. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Otherwise,
I
you
don't
just
know,
have
man. I just
Anton behind the camera, just watching. Like, I already heard it. When you're
like
giving
when
the
we
joke, and
filmed
Anton.
when we filmed Swayze, like I felt really
Yeah.
weird in the very slapsticky scenes. It's just not my style of comedy anyway. And I felt most comfortable in that like serious scene. I don't know if you guys saw that part at the park where it's at night, and I felt like more like I did my best performance there.
Yeah, for sure, man. That's what I'm saying. I'm excited, especially when you guys were fighting on the beach. Like, I want the world to see it, man. Swayze's
Those
a
are my
good one.
favorite parts, or the like
Yeah.
the action in the drama. Those are my favorite movies. Hope to see you guys in an upcoming show.
Yeah, of course, man. Yeah, we always sit there and represent Agostino. We'll do it again.
Well, I didn't mean you guys. I meant people listening.
Oh, people listening? Yeah, they're definitely gonna
Yeah.
watch it. So yeah, please
Not-
come
not-
check out Agostino.
Not you guys. You guys don't come.
Yeah, not you guys. The other guys. Me, him. No, all right. Thank you for watching another episode of Not a Strong Start. You can watch us and listen to us on YouTube. Please like, subscribe, comment, share, all that good stuff. You can listen to us anywhere you listen to your podcast. You can follow us on Instagram and Twitter, Not a Strong Start. I'm your host, The Heckler. You can follow me at King_Sangre.
I am not your host. Funny how? How am I funny? You can find me at This Is Mi Nombre on Instagram.
I'm Agostino Zoida, and you can find me at Agostino Zoida across the board, except for TikTok, which is just Agostino Comedian.
Oh, fancy. So you do have a TikTok account.
Hell yeah, bro. It does way better than Instagram.
That's what I hear.
Yeah, because you got
Get on it.
all of China backing you up.
I know, dude. I'm blocked on Twitter now and shadow banned on Instagram, bro. My Twitter is going on.
So we're just waiting until TikTok does the next thing, and then you got hit with the trifecta.